conferences all the time. It's usually right in the fall. All right, here we go. I'm about to hit the start streaming. And then boom. All right, we are live and coming at you. So here we go. Reimagining Star Wars. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reimagining Star Wars with Santa. It is our October 23rd episode, and I tell you what, this has been a very busy week. So first things we're going to talk about is the trailer, which is on everybody's mind, and kind of what's going on, and maybe talk about some rumors. We were going to talk about canon, but we're going to push that off to next week when we have a special guest with Darth Revan. He's going to come on because Santa has special dealings he has to do with getting everything ready and prepped for Christmas, and Mrs. Claus needs time as well. So he won't be here. And so we'll have a special guest with Darth Revan, and then in addition to which, we're also priming a round table with Captain Phasma and Darth Revan and a few others, and we're going to talk about the Mandalorian the day after the Mandalorian premieres. So, and then we'll have Santa as well, and he will give us the rundown, and maybe a few people coal for not being so good all the time. And but with that, let's enter right into the talk of the trailers. That is huge news. We have the trailer, and there's of course a lot of people who are downplaying it, saying it's the end of hype, it's the end of Star Wars, it's awful, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with them. And though I will say I have some of my own opinions that may not align with Santa, but that's the point of this discussion. Two people who don't necessarily see things completely the same. All right, so with that, I've talked enough. Santa, you start first. What do you think about the trailer, and what are the things that have popped out to you?
Well, I enjoyed the trailer quite a bit. I understand some of the disappointment some folks have, but overall, I think it gave us a sense for a lot of action. They show lightsaber on lightsaber duel. You get lots of space ships involved. You've got all the markings that make Star Wars in there, and the entire trailer is pretty packed front to back with action. There's a couple of nostalgic scenes in there to kind of twang at heartstrings of some folks, and I think it generally hit on all the right beats. That being said, I'm well aware of a portion of the fandom that is dissatisfied with the state of Star Wars today, and that they were hoping for something that might catch them and draw them in, maybe pull them across from on the dislike side to maybe a neutral or positive. So I don't think it did that in large scale, but for the folks, just the general audience folks, and people like myself, then I think it hit on all the right beats.
Yeah, I won't say I loved it. I think I'm kind of in line with the Den of Nerds when what Josh was saying. That something just felt off. Like, I enjoyed watching it, but at the same time I was like, I can't put my finger on why I'm not feeling like I don't know if I'm a little hesitant to be super hyped because I felt like I got burned with The Last Jedi. Maybe that's the subconscious thing that's going on in my head, but no, I just felt like, and I think there's some legitimacy to the story not being completely finished, and that may be playing out inside the trailer. And so I don't know. While I enjoyed it, and I can tell you Vega really enjoyed it, so she was like, "This is so amazing! I can't wait." So as far as a 9-year-old is concerned, like, she's super hyped. So there's no so if Disney's goals are reached, kids, they have reached mine. So, and So there's no doubt about that. But I do think that that it is designed to reach kids and the kid within us, and so and maybe I'm just too cynical now. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, I've gotten that sense from the people who largely dislike The Last Jedi and even the sequel trilogy as a whole. That the trailer fell short for them. But I don't know what the trailer could have done to change their attitudes and minds. Short of some sort of retcon of The Last Jedi to show Luke in a different state and some of the different settings differently. I don't know how they possibly could have reached those folks to bring them over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in agreement with you. I think the two things, if it were me writing this and showing it, one, I would have shown. I do like the part where everybody says they know me, and he says I know you, and it shows that she's struggling to find out who she is still. Like she's not really. She may be told some things. She may know that she's no one, but that's not what's bothering her. She's never been in a position to find out who she really is. I mean, there's a growth that occurs in everyone's life, and she has not had that development.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. If you think about college-age students, people coming out of high school and they're going into college and they're trying to discover who they really are. At that point of their lives, they don't even know who they are. They're discovering who they are. And I think what we saw to this point, as far as Rey is concerned, she's just now accepted her background, like that she's a nobody. She's accepted that her parents have left her. They're not coming back. She's kind of fallen into, okay, now who am I?
Right.
If I'm none of the things that I was waiting for, then who am I? And that's why I think she could say, well, people think they know me, but they don't, right? Because she is at that discovery phase of
right.
her life.
She's like, how you know who I am when I don't know who I am? I'm still defining it.
That's exactly right.
And but I think another part of it, I think if it were me, and what I would have shown would have been a dirty Rey down in the mud picture with, and then I would have turned and showed the back of, the Emperor or Kylo, just to give that image of a down, beaten Rey. Even if that's, I don't know what's going to happen, but that would have been the image I would have given, so that as far as people are concerned, she is not a squeaky clean hero. And that's, I think that imagery would have gone a long way.
I think if the rumors are true and some of the leaks are true, we're apt to get some of that in the movie. And that goes to that whole self-discovery phase. From what I understand, from what I've heard about the ending, that it's at the ending who she declares who she is.
They're the same.
So we're going to see that kind of come through the movie. If that's truly what happens. And I agree with you as well. I think that some of the story tweaks that may be happening right now are kind of putting pieces together as they do edits and cuts to make it move a little more smoothly, and to give the explanation needed that maybe was in some content that had to get cut. Right? If you take 15 minutes of the movie out, and you got to cover sort of what was in that, you've got to kind of restate it. Put a scene in there that explains it a little bit, and then you can replace that time somewhere else. So I think that a lot of that's what's happening. And as these rumors and leaks have gotten out, it's hard to say how many of those are actually going to materialize in the movie itself.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. I mean, I think that there's probably about 8 cuts. I know we've heard 6 to 8, and I think it's probably about 8. I mean, I'm going to estimate on the high side. And I have a 4-year-old who really wants to get online, but he just wants to talk about Roblox. But so no, I think that that he is that what they're trying to do is figure it out. I think they've settled on an ending, and then they have a few scenes that they're trying to adjust. And I think a lot of that is when you settle on an ending, like I talked about when writing, you'll go, oh, I need to tweak this. This needs to end this way. And that has a cascading effect all the way through. So it means that you have to tweak each piece because you got to foreshadow it. You can't just drop an ending on people. So you have to foreshadow. Everybody's heard of Chekhov's gun. If you show it in the first scene, it better in the first act. It better be used in the second act. And if you haven't used it in the second, by God, it better be in the third. And
you raise a good point about foreshadowing, and I think it's one of the things that the movies have been criticized quite a bit about, because I think there's a great deal of foreshadowing in Aftermath, but the problem there is that that's not in the movies. The foreshadowing that's given to us in Aftermath, specifically regarding Palpatine, I think there's some fantastic imagery in the books that allude to this plant. That even there's a scene in the book where the guy goes back and there's two pieces standing, Palpatine's, right, the king, and the bishop, or his character. So those were the only two standing. The rest of them were toppled over. He grabs those two pieces and leaves. But I think that's a very good foreshadowing of saying Palpatine's still alive, right? Because his piece is still standing. And I thought, wow, that was really good. Except if you didn't read the books and you didn't pick up on that, then you don't have it. And then you come into the Rise of Skywalker, and I don't think there's been any foreshadowing of Palpatine in either of the movies preceding it. So in that case, it's kind of going to get dropped in our laps, and for the average moviegoer.
No, I think you're right. And that's why the average moviegoer was so shocked by the Snoke piece, and so I think if there's not some explanation of the Snoke to Palpatine that even the casual moviegoer is going to have. Actually, the casual moviegoers are going to have the most problems with it.
Well, the same thing happened at the end of Solo, right? All of a sudden, there's Maul, and people were like, "What?"
Right. I thought he was dead.
Yeah, like he was way dead. Or when did this movie happen? They're like I had friends who were asking me questions like, "I thought this movie happened after. Like, when is it in the timeline?" It confused them.
Right. No, absolutely. And I guess the point is to point them towards some stuff. But if you're not careful, what you end up with really is really confused people. And when they're confused, the good thing is that came at the end. But when people are confused, it drops them out of the that suspension of disbelief. And they're like, what the heck? Because their mind can't wrap their mind around it.
Even if it doesn't do that, it distracts them. Like, they're thinking for the rest of the movie, or during the movie, well, I'm confused. Where did this come from? I've been in movies before where my wife has asked me, "What is going on?" Right? Like, she just didn't have enough of the backstory to put those pieces together. So Mrs. Claus isn't always current on her movie history. So that could take somebody in the movie. And Palpatine, I think that's one of the risks they're running in The Rise of Skywalker. The only foreshadowing they've given to this point are the previews.
No, absolutely right. And I will say this, that at least has foreshadowed a lot, so that people are expecting him to be back. But there's going to have to be an explanation of how, and that's going to be crucial and critical to do right. So I think that's why they're having to go back, and I really think once they solidified the ending, they have to foreshadow all the way to it. So with that, I have Vega here, and so I want to get her opinion on. Even though I told you she's like, this is the bestest trailer ever, I want to get her opinion on it and let her tell you what her favorite part is. All right, so you tell us what your favorite part of the trailer was.
My favorite part of the trailer is when Kylo and Rey the lightsaber, it just bashes through something.
Oh, I think that was Vader's helmet on top of a statue or something, maybe, or it could have been I have a theory that actually that wasn't Vader's helmet. Well, maybe Vader's helmet, but it was somebody trying to wear it, and that has something to do with the Mortis. And I think that's the Mortis dagger. That's my opinion. So I'm gonna try to work up a theory on that for this weekend and try to get something out on what that is so that we can kind of discuss it over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm not sold that that's Vader's helmet either. There's a couple of reasons for that. The one is the height of the statue itself is too short, way too short for it to be Vader.
Yeah, I agree.
And
it didn't seem wide enough for me.
Right. So the proportions of it, right? We can say that. The proportions of the statue aren't right. So I'm curious if it's even that.
Yeah, I personally don't think it's a statue. I think it is a Knight of Ren being stabbed by the Mortis dagger. That's what I think.
Well, I don't get how there's a red saber and they're both breaking something.
Well, that red saber's Kylo's, right?
Yeah, and I know that.
And so Kylo's still bad at that point. He's wearing the helmet, right?
Yeah, he is. But if you're talking about that, then how about the red saber? You gotta include the red saber.
You think the red saber caused that thing to shatter like that?
Oh.
Well, so she has a blue saber too, right?
Well, yeah, true.
Yeah.
So,
did you notice the knife that she has in her hand?
No.
See, that's what we're talking about. So in that scene, she's holding a knife, and so a lot of people won't catch it. And I know you haven't, analyzed it like we have. So,
yeah, because you look closely.
Yeah, we go scene by scene. Well, you pay attention. You just don't go scene by scene.
Well, I don't pay attention a lot. I just look at what's in front of me.
Yeah, what's cool and flashy, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're following those lightsabers. That's your favorite part.
True.
But so there's a dagger in her hand, and I think that when it shatters, she has just run the dagger through that being, and it has shattered him. And
the dagger turned into stone.
Right. I think that he basically it crystallized him like a city, and he just shattered. That's what I think.
Well, was it a rock or was it a living being?
I think it was a living person until that dagger was shoved in them. I think, and we're gonna have to have that because we have to know.
Scene, right, it cuts in after that.
Right. So we're gonna have to see what this is the kind of stuff that's foreshadowing. You have to have these moments to tell you how powerful an item is, right? Because otherwise, if it just happens, you're gonna be like, "Well, why the heck did that happen?" But you need a moment for it to happen, then for you to get an explanation or kind of figure out why. And so then when you're going toward the moment that they're going to use it for the real villain, you have an expectation now. I mean, that's a setup. If you don't have a setup, then you're like, what the heck just happened?
So you're saying the dagger's Medusa?
No,
that's
kind of like a Medusa, yeah.
Medusa's
like
cousin.
Like a Medusa dagger.
Yeah.
I think that very well could be the case, and I'm not sure if it'll be the Mortis dagger specifically, that dagger itself, but a dagger much like it will have some sort of magic property. I like Vega's term just as well as anybody else's. For now, we can call it the Medusa dagger. At least I will.
That's we can maybe we've just coined a phrase here, Vega.
Yeah.
The Medusa dagger.
Yeah. So. All it needs is green. Hopefully it has some green on it.
And then I think that's there's been some talks about a MacGuffin, the thing that they're searching for, and that might be one of the things they were searching for, or the thing.
Yeah, I think it's going to shift. It's going to be a wayfinder. It's going to be, and that's going to lead them to the dagger, and then they're going to have to figure out what the dagger does and how to activate it.
And then they stab somebody randomly.
I think it might be more of a quest for multiple items, like you had in the last Harry Potter novel. where there was the 7 Horcruxes, and they'd already ruled out a couple, but then they were after all the rest.
Right.
I think there might be a half dozen things that they have to go get, at least 3 or 4.
That would be complicated because they got to still gather the fleet. They still got to do all those things. So
yeah, one of the discussions was when you see in the front of the Falcon, when the 4 of them are in there, that scene, there's a disc thing sitting in the middle in the front. What is that?
Yeah, I don't know. I missed that.
Some sort of wayfinder.
Yeah, I mean, it may be. I don't know. So I mean, I think there's a lot of ships that I saw in there. I saw the Ghost. I saw I can't remember the name of Ketsu's ship, but both of those are from Rebels. We saw Colossus has been confirmed for being in the back, so that's there. That's from Resistance. So if you're not watching Resistance, which we're going to talk about here shortly, then you need to catch up. And speaking of Resistance, this last episode was really, really good, and so I think it's the season's getting better. I think we're leading up. I think it's getting ready to lead straight into it. I just think it is. And then so we saw. Let's see, what else did we see? So we have Rey training. We saw her with the blast helmet. We saw the droid, her run and jump across the thing. I think the issue that we're gonna have develop with Rey is that she's fully physically capable. Like she's not split the way Kylo is, and that is leading to some strength with her that Kylo doesn't have. But there's some mental, because Kylo is having to deal with his mental anguish, grief, and things like that all at the same time. He has a mental willpower strength that I think Rey doesn't have, and I think that's going to come to the fore.
We definitely see him unhinged at the end of The Last Jedi. He's making very poor decisions and unreasoned, right? And when people try to reason with him, they get tossed across the shuttle or choked, right? So.
Yeah, but it is Hux, so. I mean, Hux is completely degraded in that movie, all the way across the whole thing.
True. Which, it leads back to an early rumor that I heard months and months ago, was that Hux could potentially be a mole within the First Order. That rumor has gone completely dead. I haven't heard anything on that in any of the recent releases.
Yeah, and there's definitely no foreshadowing of that in that trailer. Like that, I didn't even see Hux. I didn't see Hux or Maz Kanata for that matter. Like they're completely not there.
Yeah, Hux is completely absent. There was a lot of scuttle in the last week or so about Rose being not in the merchandising. Well, Rose is in there. We also see Conahan's the character as well.
Yeah, I hear that he's supposed to be Jason Syndulla.
Well, yeah, and we see him, but we don't see Hux.
Yep. So that's my understanding is that he is the son of Kanan Jarrus and Hera. So we may not see them, but we'll see him.
About Rose, did she die or did she faint in the last movie? Because I'm pretty sure she died.
She's not dead, but she was in the trailer. That's what we just talked about.
She was still alive.
I know.
She was still alive at the end. Then she was laying on the bed with a cover, and Finn was sitting there checking on her.
So yeah, he and that's when we also saw the books inside the Falcon, right, to confirm that Rey had taken the books. You remember that?
Yes,
I mean,
I do.
You've seen it like 1,000 times.
I know.
I read that we're not sure Rey took them or if Yoda put them there.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Oh no, they were in her bag when Luke was gonna burn the tree. I saw them in her bag.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Oh yeah. So that answered that question. So Vega has solved that one.
He's
so
on tonight.
Yeah, with the Medusa dagger and confirming the books in the bag.
We're gonna now call it the Medusa dagger.
Yeah, that's what we're just talking about. That's what we've coined we've taken your word to coin the dagger.
Like,
So
Can only give it another name. It's the Medusa dagger.
yeah, and until we confirm that it's the Mortis dagger, it's the Medusa dagger.
like how my little brother calls a squirrel I
A
forgot,
scrizzle.
scrizzle.
To him, the squirrel's a scrizzle. But so that's kind of the news on that. I mean, I don't know if I have. I mean, I'm going to try to kind of work together a theory to put something out on Sunday or Monday to work us into that.
A couple of things that I've seen some folks discuss, like why didn't they show us Luke? You hear his voice in all the trailers to this point. We're certain that he's going to reappear in some capacity and have a fairly large role in the movie.
We didn't see Leah either, though.
Well, you do, because she hugs Ray.
Oh, really? I missed that.
It's a Leia,
thought-
it's not Leah.
Okay,
Leia.
Sorry.
Yes, yeah. So we see her, and we see Lando.
Yes.
But we don't see Luke. Why? Right?
That's a
know
good
he's
question.
gonna be in there, but why didn't we
So something is a surprise about him. Maybe he's living.
I think there is.
If he's living, people are. I can tell you, if he is alive, or like I said, if we get context, like the death theory, he's dead the whole time theory kind of thing, and I'm telling you, people are going to be like, what?
Exactly. I'll come right back to that. But the other is about Palpatine. Like, we've heard his voice, and you see like just the corner of the back of him.
Right.
But we don't get to see his face. We don't get to see him on. In some of the early rumors said that his embodiment might be another actor, right? That
was that Matt Smith.
Yes. So McDermott it has some voiceover roles, but maybe he's not actually in a lot of the scenes.
Yeah, I think we're going to see him. I personally think that remember the scene with the throne room, and Ray there. I personally think that is a vision. I do not think that is the real. That's not at the end. I think it is right there on the Death Star 2. I think when they find it, I think both of them she has a vision and she sees that. That's what I think. And those are what we do know is that throne room is modeled after McQuarrie's drawings of the Return of the Jedi throne room. So I've heard multiple people going, that's silly, that would never be in Star Wars. Ralph McQuarrie drew that. You don't know what you're talking about.
That's exactly right. And it's exactly like the drawing. It's not like it's an interpretation of it. It is the drawing.
Yep. Exactly right.
It's disassociated.
Oh, and I also heard the Death Star 2 is not on Endor.
Well, Endor is the planet, right? The moon of Endor.
Right. Well, it's not on that moon of Endor.
Right.
Right.
It was the jungle moon of Endor.
You're right. So it's on a different world. I can't remember how they pronounced it. It was like
I've heard just today.
Right.
It's a different moon.
That's right. So a different moon of Endor.
Well,
What did you hear?
about Luke.
What do you think?
So you know how Luke is like talking in the trailer.
Right.
Like,
a lot.
Well, yeah, true. I'm thinking in the movie, Rey is probably gonna be sleeping, and she sees Luke in a dream trying to tell her something.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, she looks behind her, and there's the dark side, or probably.
Or something from the dark side.
Yeah,
Or she sees her dark Ray.
Yeah, and and when Luke's trying to tell her something, she wakes up because she sees herself as Dark Ray.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they use that. I've heard other people think that maybe that's a vision that Kylo had. Had she accepted his offer, that she would have become that, and he sees that alternate ending.
Right.
And it's a realization of his. So it could be either one of them. It could be like a nightmare scene, a vision that Rey had, or Kylo.
No, you're right. You're right. It could be of how it could have gone. So with that, let's We have about 15 minutes left, and I want to make sure we talk about resistance. I want to say that again that we're going to talk about the laws of canon next week with Darth Revan. He is really eager to talk about those, and so we were going to touch on them today, but we're gonna save it till next week. So with that, let's talk about the resistance and the most recent episode.
Well, if I could start there again, I think we've had now 2 really good shows in a row. The last one and then this one. The only complaint I have about this one is that the aces were underutilized in season 1. I know that some people complain like this thing was advertised as like we have these races going on all the time. We only saw a couple episodes where they were kind of featured a little bit, and now we've got the aces being trained to be combat pilots. It was a really great episode.
It was,
I think there was a really good contrast between their training and then Tam's training with the First Order, and so I thought that was pretty cool. So what do you think?
I really like it, but about the alien, I noticed how he's like he's all for himself. He's already used to racing, and he thought that it would be easy.
Hype.
The green alien with the thingamabobs on his head, and he thought it would be easy like racing, but he's skewed adjusted to like combat.
Yeah,
right.
They made a really good point about that, didn't they? Where a racer is just trying to get ahead, right? They're not trying to strategize and work together as a team. You just want to get in front. And with combat, it's a different mindset. And so you've got a lot of the same skills, but you've got to train yourself how to use them differently.
Right, because remember he talked about, we just got ambushed. So like you're trying to outthink your opponent and you're trying to work together to get them to bite on a target, really to expose themselves. It
was great that the solution at the end, he's the one who came up with it, didn't it?
Did you like that?
Mm-hmm. But you have to work together if you're going to survive. If you don't work together, then you might not survive. Working together is how you survive.
Right, and that was really highlighted between the two, right? So,
yes.
Because on the other side, Tam was punished for being a hero, right?
Yes.
But I'm sure that's going to play out too, because something's going to happen with that.
Because I think Tam might come back.
Right, but what do you think about what is his name? Who's the blonde-headed kid's name?
No, he's a white hair, like
he's blonde.
like Lincoln in Loud House.
Yeah. What's his name? I can't remember his name.
His name's
I
Lincoln.
have a mind block on that because somebody made the association to Harry Potter with him being Draco Malfoy, and so now his name in my head is Draco Malfoy.
Golly, I can't remember. Anyway, I think ultimately he's going to also have a shift. I think that's being set up because if he makes the statement, I wouldn't have saved you, and to which they come along and say, then that's right. That's what she should have done. So meaning that she should have let him crash and die, right? And so that's got to get to you at some point, where you're like, yeah, they're really not out for me. They're willing just to let me just die, and in a training, thing where I'm can have a chance to get better and learn lessons and be a better pilot. But yet you're just willing to let me die, And so I mean it's kind of crazy when you set that whole situation up. I mean, like me, I probably would have been pretty belligerent about that mentality afterwards.
Me?
It's interesting the real difference they're making, where the First Order is about survival of the fittest, right? Even if you go back and look at the Phasma book, which is a really good book, a lot of people love it. That's her story. She's the survival of the fittest. She was the strongest. She's the one who outwitted and was ruthless when she had to be ruthless to get ahead. And that's sort of the whole mindset of the First Order as far as the pilots are concerned, the officers are concerned. It's, eat or get eaten kind of thing.
What do you think, Vega?
But me, I would just be sassing back. I would be sassy and talk back and be like, survival of the fittest? This is a training session. You're a bad teacher. I will be the teacher from now on.
But do you think that if you'd done that, they wouldn't punish you?
Yeah,
you're okay with them punishing you?
Yeah, I'm just like...
Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just like, you're a bad teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
I'm reporting you to the resistance.
I mean, I guess there's some value to letting you suffer the consequences of bad decisions. But I mean, I don't know if you could get away with being disrespectful in the military unit, especially the First Order. But they're doing a good job of setting them up, especially in a very. I think there's no way a 7, 8, or 9-year-old will watch that and think that the First Order is good. Like they have good qualities. They have bad qualities all the way. It's very stark and distinct. And I think that was one of the complaints about The Last Jedi, is that there was aspects that weren't stark and distinct, and that is clear that it is, and I think that's easy for a kid to see.
Well, I think it's interesting that Resistance in Season 2 has got this multi-level kind of quality going on now. So where a lot of the complaint in Season 1 is it was too childish. Okay, sure, kids might enjoy it, but it was just not of substantial content to attract to adults or the seasoned fans. And what I'm seeing now in Season 2 is it's meeting both, right? So there's different levels of complexity to the story that it can be viewed from different perspectives. When you talk about ideology, you can talk about comparison to business structure, right? There's a lot of parallels in there that an adult can see. At the same time, it's a good story that children are engaging with and enjoyable. It's a really good show.
Okay, so about that sassing back to the teacher, I would already be in my computer. I'd already be in my computer setting up for that teaching lessons for that teacher, because that teacher needs to go back to school. That way I can teach and have fun.
I think you'd just be fired and chasing out into space if you did that.
Yeah, I know I would. I know I would, but I'd fire them first.
Okay. Well, it clearly, got a response from Vega. So Vega was like, I do not like you. I do not like it. And you're bad. I mean, I think that's fully the intent. And I think it's really clear. It's not gray. I mean, one of the best things that we've talked about Star Wars, if we go back to OT, what is the thing that people talk about with the OT? It is clear and distinct, good against evil. And so if we're looking at Resistance, what I think we knew the First Order was bad, but most of the time they weren't really facing the First Order. It was him running around acting like a fool, and him trying to race, and and you had another kid in there that was being a bud, or somebody was chasing him because he's an idiot, and so you're like, it was just like, you're just like, get to the story already. That's how you felt in the first season. So now we're right on the season. We have clearly defined stark good and evil, because we were kind of dealing with a little bit of gray because Tam chose to go with the First Order, and and he liked Tam, and he was trying to apologize to Tam, and so and we saw why his foolishness had a consequence, which is kind of good. His foolishness finally had a consequence where a character went over to the bad side, and he tried to get them back, and it led them straight to them and exposed them. And then in addition to which, now we've had the opportunity to follow a character. So they developed that. So his mistake led to Tam being in the First Order. Now we have the opportunity to get an inside view of the First Order and then compare and contrast their training methods so that we can distinctly see that the First Order is a tyrannical, evil organization.
Like in the first season, we started watching it and we didn't really get interested, and like.
Was it too silly for you?
Yeah, he was kind of being a butt-in idiot.
and silly, right?
Yeah, a bit too silly. He was like a clown.
That first season is really a lost opportunity. I'm really seeing it that way now.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously Vega just talked about how silly he was in the first season. So, I mean, she was a year younger at 8, and if she thought he was too silly at 8, then they were clearly too silly. Yeah. Right? I mean, she's close to that target demographic, TV7, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's perfect.
Like, he made no sense. They didn't get onto the story, not as much action.
Yeah. So they really went onto the story till almost to the midway into the second half of the season. And that's when they started to get into some serious stuff. But even then, his silliness was front and center, and it really was distracting. And I thought they were going that way with the first episode of season 2, and I was like, not again. Please don't do that. But the last 2 seasons, he's toned it down, and in this episode was really good. Last one was a thumbs up, and this one, as far as by comparison, is a 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I like both of them. I think we've had two good hits in a row.
And I think like wait, I forgot what I was gonna say.
So what do you think is going to happen in the next episode? Because I really don't have any idea what you think is going to happen in the next episode. They're still trying to find the resistance at this point.
Well, yeah, true, they are, but.
Well, last week, Vega, I think you mentioned something about him going to see his dad.
Well, yeah, but he's probably gonna get tempted to see his dad too, but
I think
we'll talk about that.
I think you're on point here, because his dad was a politician and leader within the New Republic. So if they're going to gather a military and to join the resistance, it's going to have to be these kind of leaders. So if Tam is going to try to help out Leia and the resistance, then Tam might become instrumental. And I think they're going to have to set that up.
Things that are getting ready to happen at the same time, because the Last Jedi kind of boxes this in, and we know what's going on, and the people that are chasing them right now, chasing the Colossus, are going to get pulled back at some point. When they go chase after Holdo and the fleet, right? So at some point that's going to happen. The Colossus should be getting a call from Leia, the distress call from Leia, anytime. Those things are going to happen, I'd say, the next 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, what we have just seen now is, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long they've been going. So, I mean, more than 18 hours may have passed at this point. So, I mean, we have that box. I mean, they got there after they left. You know that it's a jump. I don't know how long that jump went. That's unknown time for that jump. And then we know we have, as soon as that jump ends, it's an 18-hour window. So.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to be in that time zone very soon. And then that might be, I think Vega, what you said last week is absolutely right. What we just talked about. I think when they're going to get that distress call from Leia, he's going to want to go to his dad to figure out how do we respond.
Well, actually, I think it's going to be a trap when he chooses to go search for his father, or it's not a trap. It's like in those video games.
Well, which is it? Is it a trap or not a trap?
We don't know. It's like in those video games. Right. You have to make a choice. where you go see your dad, and it could be either one of them.
Right. So
because there could be a mistake in each one, like in Roblox. I played a game and you had to choose a choice.
Right. There's a lot of games with that. I don't think that Commander Pyre is going to get pulled back. So here's my reasoning. I think that there are multiple First Order units out there, basically hemming in the galaxy. We just see one fleet there with Hux. That's like Hux's fleet. That's not the entire fleet. It can't be. Not if the First Order reigns.
If the First Order reigns, then wouldn't everybody be trapped and they would probably rule the galaxy?
Well, that's what it means. I mean, the First Order reigns means they're ruling the galaxy. I mean, it means in that short period of time that no one has put up any resistance, and it actually makes sense. Like I said, if you look at history, whenever attacks occur, it takes months for people to really figure out what they're going to do and gather enough resistance. I mean, Germany reigned in France, immediately after the collapse of the French military, but that doesn't mean that the resistance ended inside there. And then it became Vichy France, but then you had, de Gaulle's troops form in Algeria, and it took time for that to happen. It didn't happen overnight. So,
I was thinking Phasma with this Pyre, but they're not together. They're just communicating. Because I know Phasma's fast.
Right, she sent a message to Pyre to tell him to get himself. But that was in the episode last. So I think now he's on his own. He's not going to see any responses from Phasma, and he's going to wonder what's happened.
Well, actually, about resistance, you know how... Wait, 1 second. I don't keep forgetting everything. I had it 1 second when I was walking into the room.
Get your thoughts together and come back over here.
In that trailer, baby's in the trailer. It's supposed to be in the movie.
Right. I mean, I think that we're establishing who the Colossus and what the Colossus is. So that means there's a good chance we're probably going to see Kaz in the movie, even if it's only briefly. I think a lot of those pieces we'll probably see the Aces. So if we see the Colossus, there's a good chance all those will be there. Yeah. And so we'll see all those ships going and fighting, and by that time they might be literally an Ace squadron.
Oh, I got it. But if the dark side rules the whole entire galaxy, wouldn't everybody have lost hope? And there's always going to be that one person who's trying to get everybody's hope up, like in Avatar, because those Earthbenders were surrounded by metal, but they didn't know there was coal in there that they could use.
Right, that's a good reference, and they ended up using the coal to fight back, right?
Yeah, to fight the fire.
Right. But you raised the point, and I think that's the overwhelming part. So if we're going to take that the First Order reigns, and who is the only Jedi left that people know of?
Rey.
And why would that be? Because what has Kylo probably done?
He has actually revealed her.
Yeah, I think you're right. He probably put a bounty on her head because he has blamed her for the death of Snoke, right?
But actually, you know how the end of one of the movies, how that kid actually used the Force to get that broom.
That's the same movie, The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Not one I know. That.
But that. There could be more kids who are young, and Rey could teach them.
I think there's definitely more kids, but the problem is that Rey has never been a teacher. She's always been alone.
Well, then she has to learn.
But that's right, and that can be overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt overwhelmed when AJ comes in and you have to show him stuff?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, but
you just said his name.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not supposed to do that.
Bad.
Yes.
Bad, Daddy.
I'll go in and edit it.
Okay. How are you going to edit it? It's a live stream. It's a live stream.
I can go in and edit it.
Your dad had also mentioned another theory when we were talking before about where is the Resistance going to find all of these people to fight. And the Broom Boy is an example. He's just a kid, but there are all these people that have been oppressed for generations, and they're learning that the more they help these people who've been oppressed, the more support they're getting. And I've been catching up on some of the audio books, and that theme is resonating really strong in the books. There's a lot of discussion about slavery and people who are oppressed and trying to free those kind of people, and there's more and more tension building around it. And so one thing that happens when you have like an overpowering government is the people who are oppressed eventually will rise up and overthrow that government.
No, absolutely right.
Throughout human history, it happens over and over. And I think we're about to see that. That's, when you talk about Star Wars being parallel to different political situations or different historic times in human history, that's something we have not yet seen, where the oppressed uprise against. We've seen, we've had the resistance fight back, but in the original trilogy, we had, of course, the rebels, but that was not a mass group of the oppressed. That was a group of like heroic fighters fighting for good.
Right.
So that I could very well see, and I think that all of the supplementary material that's out there right now really supports that theory. And I think you're the first one that I've talked to who kind of put their finger on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's got to be some aspect to that, and the thing is, like, Hype even talked about it. He says, I remember as a kid when the Empire ruled, and I don't want that to happen again. He makes that statement right in the middle of the Resistance, and so because he says, I didn't sign up for the Resistance, so I'm not talking about fighting for the Resistance. I'm talking about fighting for your home, and that automatically makes him the Resistance.
Right.
And so and like while it didn't sink in with him in that moment that he's joining an army, he's joining his little piece of his army that, when put together with many, the idea is like this, right? If you take one string, the string is easily broken, right? But if you take that string and bound it with many, it's incredibly strong, and you can pull on it and pull a heavy load with it. And I think that's kind of where they're going. So what we see is a lot of strings. I mean, and that are getting pulled, and it's getting ready. The tension is getting ready to be applied, and then that's where we'll have the rise. And I don't know if the theory's right about it ending in with Rey at the end with a golden lightsaber. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I'm still discounting because a lot of theories are getting thrown out, and I just don't know what's playing out. But I think that the Resistance is going to lead us there. So I mean, and I think this is going to be a crucial part of the story. I do think that this is going to be a crucial part of the story and leading us to the Rise of Skywalker. I really do. I don't think it's going to be a waste of time to watch, and I think it's getting a lot better. All right. So last things you need to say there, Vega? Because I think we're going to go ahead and close this chapter off, and then we're going to let Santa go to the North Pole and enjoy getting ready for Christmas with Mrs. Claus, and
or enjoy having hot chocolate all night.
That's right. He getting hot chocolate.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're lucky you're a grown up.
He's been a grown up for many thousands of years. Yeah. Saint Nicholas. That's
when were
Santa
you
Claus.
made?
There's so much to talk about. What do you think, just as sort of we're closing out and we've been talking about the trailer coming out, and how do you think the movie, what's your feeling for how well the movie's going to do at the box office?
What do you think? How much money do you think it'll make there, Vega? Think it'll make $1 billion, $2 billion, somewhere in between?
Probably $2 billion.
Better than Captain Marvel or Spider-Man?
I think it'd do better than Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel didn't.
She made $1 billion, so that's pretty good.
Well, yeah, but I think this one will be like $2 billion or $3 billion.
You think it'll make it as much as $3 billion?
Yeah.
I mean, Endgame didn't do $3 billion. You think it'll do better than Endgame?
I think it would do better than Endgame.
Well, I mean, so there's the kid's opinion. She thinks it should do better than Endgame.
But like, you know how like, I'm pretty sure all the fans will be packing up their money to go see that one movie, see if it has improved.
Right. I think you're right. They'll go see it at least once.
And they'll check it and see if it's actually real Star Wars that George would make.
Right.
And that it would be good and what they'd like.
Right. I think George Lucas has probably helped out and given them some advice on this one. I do think that it's occurred.
I hope
even the people who are most negative, I think they're going to wait. They're not going to go on opening night. They're going to wait to hear from people they trust and find out what they think of it. If the people they trust say that it's going back to real or true Star Wars, then I think that they might go see it the following weekend.
No, I think they'll go see it because all right. So we have that Thursday is the 19th, right? And then and then you have that weekend, and then it's Christmas. So what I think is going to happen, you're going to have multiple reviews start coming out on Saturday, and Friday and Saturday reviews are going to start coming, and so Sunday, Monday, and Christmas Day are if it's good, we'll see those things. It'll be really high. If it's mediocre to bad, then it'll tank. I really do think it'll tank.
Yeah, I think the floor is Captain Marvel. I don't think it'll do worse. I don't think there's any way it'll do worse than Captain Marvel.
Right. I guess I personally think that it'll do about 1.3 to 1.5 billion, and so I
better than that, then who knows?
And I think that if it's a decent story, that's decent. If it comes out and blows our socks off, it'll easily be a $2 billion movie.
I got a question. Is there even a movie that has reached quadrillion?
No. There's not that much money in the world.
I do think the floor is Captain Marvel, and on those first reviews, I keep saying in multiple communities that Thor Skywalker is an important voice in the community because he's reasoned. He's not out calling people names. I don't agree with a great deal of what he talks about, but I think he's a very important voice. And when his review comes in, we'll get a real good sense for how people more on the negative side who aren't just ridiculous.
Right. I mean, I tend to agree with Thor Skywalker more than not. I mean, we have our disagreements, but I mean, I think so. I mean, when I've had my discussions with him on his Patreon server on Discord, I mean, I tend to find myself in agreement, and that's coming to an agreement as we talk about things and things that we like. And I posed a theory on there today, and I tell you what, he was like, if they do this, I will be. And I'm gonna pose that theory. I'm gonna try to put that together this weekend. But he was like, if they do this, I will definitely love this movie. So I think there's potential, and I think having seen what I see, that it's clearly possible they're going this direction. So if I'm right on my theory, I know that I love the theory. So if I'm right, then I'm gonna be sucked in, and I think it is going to be awesome. And I got a thumbs up on the theory from Thor Skywalker. So
That's a good start. I love the fan theory of Luke being dead through the whole trilogy, and then we just didn't know it. I love that theory, and if they could fit that in, it might do a lot. I think there's some problems to it, but something along those lines would certainly explain a lot of The Last Jedi and give people a different way to look at it.
Right.
A true retcon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a retroactive way of putting things in context, right?
Right. Context is what we need. That's what I talked about. If laid out if they gave us context for Luke and the decisions that he made, I'm telling you, the backlash would have been much less. It just, like I said, when you had Luke throw off his way that who he was and became a failure, it was basically saying to half the fandom who got mad. I don't know how many it is, but let's just say for the sake of argument, it's half the fandom, and that basically you will make mistakes and you'll never recover from them, and so we were like, what? He recovered from his mistake in Empire Strikes Back. He overcame it in Return of the Jedi. Now this should lead him to success, and it didn't. So you're saying that I'll never overcome my mistakes? That's effectively what you did to them, and that's like I said, that's a kick in the shorts. That is not good to your to somebody if you've related to that figure in the past.
I'm happy to see so many people optimistic, and I'm really excited for the 19th.
We are too. It's Vega's birthday, and so we are seeing it at 7:00 on that day, and we have
7:00 Central, correct?
Yes.
With my friend, she's gonna be with us.
Eastern, so we're going at the exact same time.
Yep, we'll be seeing it at the same time, and so
some lucky moviegoers are going to be in the same theater with Santa seeing the Rise of Skywalker.
All the elves.
It'll be a surprise. Some people will be surprised to see Santa.
All the elves are going to be like, oh, shouldn't we be packing our presents? It's the 19th. He was like, hey, we're setting aside for Star Wars.
Well, I'll miss you guys next week, but Mrs. Claus and I are going to spend some time together before Santa gets busy for the holidays.
It makes sense. I mean, you're going to be super busy, so you give Mrs. Claus a big hug for us and tell her that we wish all a happy Christmas anniversary.
Oh, and also Santa, were you made out of a kid's imagination, or were you made out of your own imagination?
Oh, Santa actually started with his heart was for secret giving, and he helped out some kids who were had problems, and they needed some money, and he left a present in the middle of the night, left them a little bit of gold in the middle of the night, and was able to change their lives, and that started it. And from that time on, the secret giving of Santa Claus has just grown and grown.
Well, actually, from VeggieTales, Saint Nicholas, his parents got sick. They're preachers of God. They taught people, and his parents, how they got sick, they were teaching the sick, and then they caught their sickness and then died.
Oh no!
That's right.
And then he learned and worked hard every single day, and read the Bible, preached, and one night he was just outside walking, and he had some money in his hand, and he saw some poor kids. Like, he went into houses and stuff. But before that, he went into houses. He gave some money to some people who really needed the money. Yeah. And then that's how it started. He became Santa.
So you know the story. You know the story of Saint Nicholas.
Yeah, it was from VeggieTales.
Started. There were some young girls who were not able to get married unless they could provide their dowry. So back in those days, for a woman to get married, she had to provide some money to the husband's family. And they didn't have it. And so these women were really sad, right? They were in a really bad place. And St. Nicholas came along and provided that money they needed to be married. And he did it through a secret giving. So they weren't supposed to know that he gave it at the time. And then he continued that kind of giving. And it just got bigger and bigger.
That's
and bigger
right.
Until so Santa Claus is a variation of saint. And Claus is the last part of Nicholas, right? Saint Nicholas, Santa Claus.
Saint Nicholas.
Yes, Sant.
Yeah.
So it'd be Sant Nicholas. So that's how you get that.
That's right. And also Kris Kringle stands for Christ Child. So that's where that all comes from the gift that God gave man in the secret giving of St. Nicholas, and it has grown into the Santa Claus that we know today.
That's right, and now we have a Santa that loves Star Wars. All right, so with that, let's let Santa go, and we'll say goodnight.
Wait a second.
No, it's
Wait,
go
I
ahead.
want to say.
Oh, one last thing.
Okay, so you know how God is. He, even though the people who don't love God, He still loves them. Like how Santa loves all children and people. And He gives, like God gives His love for free.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's a very good ending. I like that. All right. So, everyone, we want to say good night, and we hope you enjoyed, and we enjoyed theorizing, and so even though we haven't reached Halloween and All Saints Day yet, Merry Christmas, and Santa, you have a great Christmas anniversary next week, and we will can't wait for you to return in 2 weeks.
And also, by the way, he watches Thor Skywalker 24/7.
I don't know if they that much, but he does watch him. Yeah. So next week we'll have our special guest Darth Revan. So he will bring in the dark side where Santa only brings in the light. So we will have a little bit of a dark side episode prior to going into Halloween. So thank you for joining us, and we will talk to you next week.
And also, that's where I become like the Sith. A dark person.
Good night.
Good night.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you. And where Sith say, I don't know.